Hi everybody, me again. This is going to be part 2 of our Roads to Freedom Unconvention live streams. These were all recorded on Sunday. Now, if you hear a little boy talking in the middle of the episodes, that's my son Alexander. I had to bring him with me to the Unconvention, and he got to sit in and do a little live streaming with us. So we start off with me and him just kind of messing around with the camera a little bit. Then we had Trevor Reily on. He's the chair of the Lancaster County Libertarian Party. And then my co-host Zach Taylor was on with me, and we talked about how they organized the event and kind of what our thoughts on it were. And then Zach had Joe Hauptmann on to talk a little bit. And then we had Jake Porter, who's running for governor in Iowa. And then, last but not least, the Vermin Supreme stopped by to talk about ponies, karaoke, and proper dental hygiene. Hope you enjoy. Here live from the Roads to Freedom Unconvention in beautiful La Vista, Nebraska. I'm here with the youngest member of the Roads to Liberty team. Say hi, Xander.
Hi.
Yeah, look at the camera and say hi.
Hi.
Are you enjoying it? Don't move it. Keep it where it is. Are you enjoying the Unconvention so far? Are you having fun? What's your favorite thing?
It's a PJ mask.
So your favorite thing is PJ Mask?
Yeah.
But PJ Mask isn't here. Would you like PJ Mask to be at the next Unconvention?
Puppy Rock.
How you want Puffin Rock to be at the next Unconvention?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually a topical thing because if you come out to the next Unconvention, which will be held in Omaha once again, Omaha's got one of the best zoos in the country, and we have puffins at the zoo. Hey Xander, do you want everyone to come out to see puffins?
Yeah.
Do you think puffins are cute?
Then me go, and you go, and Mama go.
And we all go to see the puffins at the zoo.
Yeah, okay,
We just finished watching Larry Sharp give a keynote presentation. He's in the ballroom right now taking questions. If you guys have not come out to the Omaha Unconvention yet, you are missing out a lot. So you need to get down here and watch some of these awesome speakers. You missed Ron Paul last night. He was pretty awesome, so don't miss the whole thing. All right, Xander, say bye-bye.
Bye.
Say have a good day.
Have a good day.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good one, everyone. Remember, the website, roads2liberty.com. All right. Hi, everybody. Nathan Parada here with the Roads to Liberty podcast, live from the Roads to Freedom Unconvention in beautiful La Vista, Nebraska. I'm joined today by the chair of the Lancaster County Libertarian Party, Trevor Reily.
How's it going, guys?
How you doing, man?
Doing well.
You enjoying your time here at the convention?
I am. I actually, I wasn't able to make it out on Friday, but I got out here yesterday, and today's like the long haul. I have a couple of keynote speeches. I know, a couple keynote speeches that I'm looking forward to. Do what you do best and do it for liberty. Life and freedom coaching. There's a couple of things that really piqued my interest, and I'm really looking forward to it. Dave has put on a hell of a show, and you guys have done a great job with, being a supporting element of it.
All right, so what's been your favorite part of the Unconvention so far?
I really liked Cliff, actually. I really liked Cliff Maloney's speech, and the part that he hit on of changing your tactics. I think that what he brought up was, what's a libertarian? Oh, we're fiscally conservative and socially liberal, or, we're classically liberal. A lot of people have those go-to definitions, which is great. But I think that we always need to kind of challenge ourselves to find out, what is libertarianism to me? What is libertarianism to you? And kind of getting people to identify, kind of getting people to identify what those other avenues of what libertarianism really means to them, while still keeping at the core of the philosophy.
Yeah, because I remember back when I first became a libertarian, the socially liberal, fiscally conservative thing was always an easy go-to, but it's not quite accurate.
Exactly. It leaves a lot unsaid. So some people, I think the Don't Kill Our Craft movement was the best case of people really banding together for something that actually did target individual liberty, targeted home brewers, and targeted people who are entrepreneurs building this entire business off of just home brewing, or they really started as home brewers.
Yeah, that was a big deal here in Nebraska not too long ago. There was a big issue of debate, and even out in White Clay, Nebraska, whether or not to allow them to continue selling alcohol out there. That was a big issue of debate not too long ago.
Yeah, and I've actually been following that since they closed down the liquor store in White Clay. And unfortunately, the problem has actually spread. It has spread to a few other towns. People are just driving faster for alcohol as opposed to, being clean in the society. And that's an unfortunate thing with a lot of Native Americans. The alcohol actually does affect them differently. It just goes to show that government didn't solve the problem.
No, it doesn't. And regardless of what the problems of any substance is, the problems of prohibition are always worse.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's
Creating that black market creates way more problems.
It's an ironclad law that when you create prohibition against something, that in and of itself is not a danger to anyone else. You're going to create more problems than you solve. You're not going to fix anything. You're just going to make a whole lot of unintended consequences. So you're going to be hanging out for the rest of the day?
I will be here the rest of the day. The next speech that I'm looking forward to is Nicholas Bessers talking about do what you do best and do it for liberty. That's the one that I'm really looking forward to. But I'll be here for most of the day.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one as well. We had Ron Paul here last night. We're going to have Abney Park playing live music tonight. I don't know what time that starts.
I think it kicks off at like 8 or 10. Can't remember which one.
I imagine 8 because 10's a bit late. Probably till 10 or whatever.
Probably till 10, yeah, you're right.
Okay, well, if you all are not here at the UnConvention yet, if you have not been down here during the course of this weekend, come on down. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Remember the website for us, roads2liberty.com. That's where you're going to see all our podcasts and all our videos. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Minds, YouTube. And come out. We'd love to see you guys. All right, bye, everybody. Thanks for talking to us, Trevor.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
What's up, everybody? Nathan Parada here with the Roads to Liberty podcast. We're here at the Omaha Roads to Freedom UnConvention, like we've been for the last 3 days. Here with Zach. He's helped organize and promote this event. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you've been doing that?
So we initially tried to get some of the print media and like 1110 and all those radio networks to advertise, and it was going to be incredibly expensive for a very low return on investment. So we switched gears and went almost exclusively social media. And since that's essentially what I do, basically promotion has been me and then our speakers sharing that they're going to be here. And considering how that's been, I would say that we've had a really good success. At various points there's been like 200 people here at any given time. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. There's a lot of people here that are real big names in the liberty movement. Of course, Ron Paul was here last night. That was an awesome time.
When you got your picture taken, like, you lit up like a Christmas tree. Like, you were blushing and grinning.
I was fangirling hardcore with Ron Paul. Dude, I freaking love Ron Paul. Ron Paul's the man. He's the best. I mean, the only reason I'm here at all is because of Ron Paul. So when I finally got to meet Ron Paul, that was like, all right, my life's done. I've done everything I wanted to do now. But it's not just him. Larry Sharp's been here all weekend, and he's been great.
So the weird thing, and now I feel like I'm kind of jaded, and maybe that's a good thing because it makes me more effective. I met Larry Sharp in person. We did in Houston, and by the time he comes up here, because I've been doing like video work and stuff for him, and we've had several interviews with him, like, he came up to me and said hi and said, "Hey, thanks for cutting that video." And at that point, it's like, okay, I can't be starstruck anymore because that's the guy that would have starstruck me, and and we're like on a first name basis at this point, and it's like these aren't people who make me feel starstruck anymore. They're people that I'm working with to promote liberty. So now I'm kind of feel like I'm past that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where the deeper into the liberty movement you get, the more you actually get to meet and interact with these people and realize they're they're just people.
Yeah.
They're just dudes, just like you, just like me. You know, I mean, they're people with talents. They're two people who are very talented at what they do. But at the end of the day, they're not superhumans. You know, they're just people. You know, just people out there to promote liberty, spread the message out there. In Larry Sharp's case, to win a governor's race, and he's doing a very good job at actually making that a reality.
So it's not even like, how do I say this? He's managed to carve out a niche for himself in that race that you wouldn't, like, the Republicans gave him being the Second Amendment candidate. And so that was actually the ad I got to cut, was the Republican lieutenant governor candidate saying that she wanted to keep the SAFE Act, which is a terrible piece of legislation.
Yeah, we talked about that on another podcast with Larry Sharp.
Yeah. So the fact that that was an own goal for the Republicans, because now oh boy, I think that scared him.
Come here, buddy. Come here. It's okay.
So Xander just hit the handicap button to open the door, and the door opened, and now he's scared.
Say hi, buddy. Say hi. You're on live. Oh, it's okay, little man. So what would have been, besides Ron Paul, because that's the obvious highlight of the weekend, what was your favorite part of this weekend?
So for me, it'll probably take some reflection to figure out what that is. Hanging out with Josh and Alex, hanging out with Larry Sharp, hanging out with Kyle Varner always just is awesome. Like, there's no way around that. But yeah, getting put on, like, becoming Steve Sheets' social media guy for his campaign, like, and now I have to go fix his page, because when he declared for Congress, he was in District 8, now he's in District 1 because of the redraw. So now I have to go try to figure out how to get his Facebook name changed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, there are two highlights. One, last night, a bunch of us went out to karaoke at a local bar. Josh Smith was there, Alex Merced was there, Star Child and Vermin Supreme were both there. And it was, I mean, you can imagine a group of 10 or so libertarians, that kind of group, it would just end up being absolutely hilarious. In a minute, buddy. But yeah, that was fun. And then yesterday when we were doing the live stream and Larry Sharp just jumped on in like, okay, let's talk about, you want to talk about guns? Let's talk about guns. I'm like, all right, I guess we're doing this with Larry Sharp now. That was a lot of fun.
So I'm actually going to probably take that video and edit it up to get that moment of him jumping in, and then talking about gun policy, and then kick that over to the heck?
I don't know.
Anyway, I'll kick that over to the campaign, because I think that's such a cool moment. So
yeah, that was a cool spot what they did just there. So I mean, okay, the event's still going on. Oh, Xander, don't touch, buddy. The event's still going on. We still got today to go. Josh Smith is going to be speaking at some point today. If you haven't come out yet, come on in. It's a lot of fun, and we're going to have a Abney Park, a steampunk themed band play tonight in the ballroom. That's what, $20 to get in just for that?
You don't even have to come to anything else. This is $20 to hear the concert, and yeah. I'm beyond at this point.
That's a lot of it. We understand, dude. You've been working so hard to make this event possible, to help promote it, to make it the success that it is. And you guys did a fantastic job. So we're gonna say goodbye to you guys for right now. We'll probably be back with more guests later on.
Yeah.
Stay
Karen
tuned,
Ann
everybody.
said that she'd come on.
Awesome.
And,
we can get her to talk about that statement of principles that she had with her yesterday, because that was pretty awesome.
all
All right, everybody.
We'll see you later, everyone.
You can't see? Yes, you can. Hi, everybody. Nathan Parada here, host of the Guardians of Liberty podcast on the Roads to Liberty Network. Remember, the website is roads2liberty.com. It's where you can see all our episodes and our videos that we upload to YouTube. I'm here with Caleb Rueting.
What's up, guys?
He's part of the Douglas County Libertarian Party, and he's been here over the course of this weekend. Hi, Xander. I'm here with the youngest member of the Roads crew, Xander. Say hi, Xander.
Hi.
He's eating his chicken nuggets right now. All right, so you got to, you've been walking around, taking in the event so far. What do you think about it?
It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of interesting people here. Larry Sharp definitely has blown my mind. I didn't get to see Ron Paul. I did have plans that night, but everything else has been pretty awesome. It's been, especially the debates and stuff like that. So,
What was your favorite part of the event so far?
Larry. Larry's been my favorite. Him and Senator Ebke. So,
Yeah, Larry Sharp's one of those dudes. I mean, we did a live stream yesterday. Stop it, you. Where we were talking about guns. He just kind of jumped in and be like, guns, let's talk about guns.
yeah.
Like, all right, I'm not going to say no to you, Mr.
Right,
Sharp. You're gonna
exactly.
jump in. All right, so you actually pulled Arvin Vohra off to the side earlier today
I did.
and got to ask him a question.
I
What
did.
was it for?
It's in the new Libertarian Facebook group, and it's in a couple others. You can see the whole video there. I did record it. I asked Arvin, so, I mean, you guys can burn me. I do work in public education. I won't say which district or anything because I don't want to represent them. But I got to ask Arvin, basically because all of his comments regarding veterans, teachers, and the age of consent laws, I asked him why someone who works in public education like myself should support him for vice chair. His answer was very interesting. He told me that I shouldn't, and that what I'm doing as a public educator is immoral, and that I should stop immediately. And any veterans should also disavow their service. So,
Yeah, well, I'm not going to do
no,
that. Disavow my service. I'm going to cut myself for Arvin Vohra. Like, no thank you, sir. I'm a
Right.
veteran. I'm not ashamed of it, and you can go screw yourself if you think I'm going to be ashamed for that.
he's an interesting guy. He's very well spoken, though.
Look what.
He's one of those people that's good about, relaying their message. I don't necessarily agree with the message, though. I just wanted to give him the chance to say what he felt, because I think everyone should have a chance to explain themselves in their own context.
No, absolutely. And you know what? He is a lot better spoken in person.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was watching the vice chair debate yesterday, I was just struck by the way he approached it was not to tout his ability to do the job. It was about his ideological purity,
Yeah,
which
I noticed that too.
don't care whatsoever for.
Yeah,
I don't care about your ideological purity when you're running for vice chair. I
Right.
want you to be able to do the job.
Right.
I want you to be able to represent us well when the time comes. I don't want you to create unforced errors that make my job harder as an on-the-ground volunteer.
Yeah, and that's what he's done for the last 2 years.
Let it go.
Nothing but,
Let it
so.
go. Let it
So,
go.
I mean, that's unfortunate that he's decided to take that route.
Yeah, it is, but what can you do?
At least he's upfront and honest about it. You want this?
I've got a feeling he won't be the vice chair much longer, though. So I think Alex is gonna. That's
Yeah.
who I'm supporting.
We got to talk to Alex Merced and Joshua Smith
Yeah.
yesterday. That was a very nice conversation.
Yeah,
And they told me that they're not going to make my job harder as an on-the-ground volunteer,
Let's
as a
hope
county
not.
chair, as someone who actually has to, convince people to be in the party.
let's hope not. Yeah, I don't think they will either. I think Alex is really talented with social media and graphic design. He has a very professional setup. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, are you staying for the rest of the day? What are you looking forward to seeing?
I'm here until 5 o'clock. I'm just looking forward to sightseeing because I'm not really sure what's going on the rest of the day.
Mhm.
So
There's a
whatever comes my
few
way.
people wandering around. It's lunchtime right now, so it's kind of slow, but
Yeah.
Adam Kokish is here, Eric July is here, Larry Sharp is still running around somewhere. He's been here all weekend.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is all these people, super approachable.
Oh,
You want to
of
pull
them
them to the side and
yeah.
ask them a question, have a conversation. More than willing to do that for you. I mean, like we said earlier, we were live streaming. He's just like, let me get in
Yeah,
on this.
Larry almost went to lunch with us the other day. So
Yeah, he get that close to getting him to come out
yeah.
to Summer
Yeah.
Kitchen for us. So, All right. Well, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
That's pretty much it.
All right, everybody.
right.
Remember the website, roads2liberty.com. Come out to the UnConvention. It's a lot of fun. Say bye, Xander.
Bye.
Taxation is theft.
Taxation is theft. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. There we go. There we go.
Should I be looking at you or at that?
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
I go back and forth. So.
Okay.
What's up, everyone? This is Zach with the Roads to Liberty podcast, and I am on with Joe Hauptmann.
That's good enough.
Okay, he is running for vice chair of the Libertarian Party.
That's right.
Are you? So it seems like everyone else is running for like 3 or 4 different things right now. Do you have any other projects going on?
I have projects, but not in the LP.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember because we were talking last night, and that was such an interesting conversation. Can you kind of rehash a little bit what we were talking about in terms of like the way like people come into the movement and it tends to go in cycles?
Yeah. This current dust up is probably the 4th one of these I've seen. I've been active in the party since 1979, and I was at the '83 convention where the dust up led to the split in the party that resulted in the formation of the Cato Institute.
Okay.
And David Berglund was nominated for president by beating none of the above by 1 vote.
Nice.
We came very close to having another one of these in Salt Lake City, where one faction of the party ran, I believe, a 12-year-old girl for national chair.
That seems like something libertarians would do.
Oh, absolutely. I actually don't remember what was the source of the one at the beginning of the millennium, and now we're on our 4th one of these. So this is actually a fairly predictable cycle for us.
Do you see this playing out any differently than the previous ones? Hopefully we keep more people this time, maybe?
No, in many ways it's already played out. What happens is some people feel threatened by new people, by the movement towards politics as opposed to philosophy, which leads to different versions of our current brutalism, and as a result some people walk. This time some people walk to form a new party. I give them about 9 months.
You're talking about the United Independence?
Yeah,
Party?
yeah. I give it about 9 months. In some,
Those are some of my least favorite people left. And I'm not saying that everyone who went over there was
Yeah.
bad, but some of my least favorite people went over there. So it's like, okay, well, we got better by subtraction, and that's my personal view.
right. I understand that, but if everyone, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, everyone's going to be left blind and toothless. I'm not saying that the radicals are unique in taking this position. There are people on the pragmatic side that do exactly the same thing. It really isn't so much a radical versus pragmatism. I'm afraid there are assholes in all of the segments.
Yeah.
And
I podcast with one, so.
okay. Yeah, I tried to explain to my students that among the people I hang out with, I am considered warm and fuzzy. But I think the only I don't see there's any danger in this cycle. I think there's a danger in 2020 unless some kind of compromise, strong middle faction develops.
So like the presidential race?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I like Adam Kokesh. I'm not a huge fan of running we're going to dissolve the government on the first day campaign. I mean, on a principle level, I get it, but there's a part of me that's like, you're going to preach to the choir, we're going to get 1% at best.
Oh no, we won't get 1% with that.
I mean, that is a perfect case scenario where the Democrats give us Elizabeth Warren, so there's just so many people that are just like, anyone but these guys.
No, even under those conditions, we would not get 1%.
I mean, you're probably right. So.
Because in that case, people are looking for an alternative. and I'm sorry, I'm willing to bet not 1% of the population views turning the United States into 50 autonomous states with their own armies as the solution. For some things, some of us are only second generation from Europe. We know that's not a particularly good way to run a continent.
Yeah. So on the other side, you've got Bill Weld, who, depending on who you ask, isn't a libertarian.
Well, again,
Certainly a moderate,
Okay.
about as moderate as you're
do
going to get.
you know who Walter Williams is? Okay, Walter Williams is a libertarian economist at George Mason. He's a black economist. He was originally a Black Panther.
Okay.
He commented once he was the only Black Panther he knew who had a black girlfriend. And a very respected economist. And in the 90s, we talked to him about running for president on our ticket. And his response was, when you guys quit playing with political masturbation, I'll be glad to come over. And I'm afraid what we've been doing much of the time is exactly that. You talk about not a libertarian. What you're saying is, I don't care what the voters want. I don't care what can get elected. I want what makes me feel good. And going into politics about what makes you feel good is a pretty good definition of masturbation.
So I guess the better way to phrase it then would be, Bill Weld doesn't represent most of our voter base.
I would say that considering when we run Harry Brown, which was our most radical candidate, we get around 500,000 votes. And when we run Gary Johnson and Bill Welds, we get 4 million votes.
Yeah.
I would question, unless, and you say, our base is only those who agree with us. And it is therefore less than 500,000 people.
Yeah.
And those are the only people we have to worry about. And if those are the only people we have to worry about, then again, I think that's a real good definition
Yeah,
of
definitely.
political masturbation.
And I'm presenting other people's arguments. So I got to hear Bill Weld in Houston for the Texas convention. I'm not going to say he sold me, but he alleviated some of my worries. And I think that he has shifted a little bit to reach out to his base, and maybe like I could see the argument that maybe we need to shift a little bit to reach out to him and see if we can do better on this one than we did in the last one. Keep growing.
I don't know if Bill Welds is not the best candidate. It's a question of, will he be the best candidate we have to choose from?
Right. I mean, if we're talking about like I'm always going to say Larry Sharp because that's my fanboy thing going on. But
I think if Larry Sharp decided to enter the race in 2020, at this point in time, assuming he doesn't totally blow New York, okay, he would get it.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that the other two wings of the party hate each other so much.
And everyone likes Larry because he's a really nice guy.
Yes. Okay. And there are other candidates. Hopefully some new people will show up between now and 2020. Nick Sarwark, our current national chair, I was talking to him in Louisiana at their state convention, and talking about 2020. And he said, our job is not to recruit the best candidate; it's to build a party that attracts candidates that we want.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's the approach we have to take. We have to build our own party. Okay, we have to make it something that people want. And I'm afraid I have to disagree with you. I do not think the best way to do that is growth by subtraction.
So I understand that argument. I think that when you lose some people who are chasing others away and you get those others back, like I don't know.
I also have had people tell me that there are states in the West who are threatening to leave the party if Welds is nominated. How is that any different? Other than you may agree with them.
So I don't. But.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, I'm amazed at the libertarians who will attack a tactic when it's used by their opponents and then totally justify it when it's used by them. For instance, in Louisiana, they had the head of the Libertarians for Trump as their speaker. And Nick asked him, how is what you did any different from what Bill Wells did? And his response was basically, well, but I was right.
Huh?
Okay. Both of them would took the position, again, assuming Bill Wells claims he never did this. I don't know. I never heard the actual.
The Hillary Clinton thing.
The Hillary Clinton thing. What it boils down to, there are libertarians on both sides who thought that one of the two major candidates was so terrible that they just couldn't bring themselves. I mean, I know people at the Cato Institute, okay, who voted for Trump, okay, and they told me simply, Gary can't deliver.
Which is weird because he did pretty good on delivering as a governor.
No, but
or he can't deliver us an election.
He can't deliver us an election.
Okay. Yeah,
what this one person told me was, with Hillary, I know I have zero chance of getting what I want. With Trump, I have a 10% chance. And unfortunately with Gary, although I like him, I would also have a 0% chance. So I will vote on the 10%, knowing I will probably be disappointed. Because any other vote leads to worse.
I think we've gotten our 10% out of Trump, to be honest.
I think we've gotten all the good out of Trump we're ever going to get.
Yeah. And now it's just like, please don't screw everything else up for the next probably 6 years, because the Democrats are doing everything they can to possibly sabotage their own party.
All three parties are going through a civil war right now.
Yeah, that is definitely true.
People don't understand that. What has happened is, because of our first past the post type elections, we can't have a lot of parties and be successful. If we were in Europe, if we were in a parliamentary system, there would probably be 2 to 3 libertarian parties. Okay?
A left and a right. You know.
And in Germany, I had a friend who was in Germany. He said they have at least 3 parties that would qualify under American standards as libertarian. Okay, now they don't get to the 4%, which is needed to get into Parliament. Okay, assuming you're not counting the Liberal Party, which is a classical liberal party. But that's the way it would work. Okay, here, the only way we can work is by making the coalitions within the political parties. Trump has upset that apple cart. And all of these different groups, I know libertarians hate thinking in terms of groups, because the ultimate group is the individuals, are looking to realign themselves. You know, who's going to go with who? And it's happening within our own party too. And in Indiana, we're pulling as many new Democrats as we are new Republicans.
In Nebraska, so it's hard to tell in Nebraska, but I think we're pulling a lot more from independents. But Democrats, so in Nebraska, Republicans are stagnant in growth. Democrats are hemorrhaging voters. So, I mean, we're probably pulling more from Democrats than Republicans.
We can't say because we don't have, we're not allowed to register libertarian in Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Okay, in fact, what we do, you don't register, you go in and you ask for a ballot in the primaries. You ask for a Republican or a Democrat, or if there happens to be a referendum or something, usually a tax issue, you can ask for a non-partisan ballot. But that's maybe you'll have one thing to vote on.
Yeah.
So like nobody ever does that. In fact, I've done it once or twice.
Is that why Jared was complaining on Facebook about don't go vote because it's like an unconstitutional way to do it or something like that?
Well, what it boils down to is in Indiana, like in almost all states, we pay for our own conventions. And in Indiana, our conventions, I was state chair in 15, usually run us about $10,000 to $12,000 a year to put on a convention. The Republicans and the Democrats, both their conventions and their primaries, are paid for by the state. So basically, and the state advertises them as you're voting. So to the general population, they don't even think of it as this is a party function to nominate party candidates. And in areas like where I live, which is probably 80% Republican, in reality, if what you're looking for is who's going to win in November, you don't need to even bother voting in November. Okay, you vote in the primary, Republican primary, and that determines who is going to be your next representative.
Well, that's true in every part of the state except for second district. Is actually, so voter-wise, it's a little more blue than red, but all the independents typically go red. So the Republicans normally control it, but not by enough that they can take it for granted. Like Obama won. So we do 2 electoral votes for winning the state, and then 1 for each congressional district. Obama took 1 of our electoral votes in 12 or 8.
It was 8.
8. So because he won Omaha essentially. So.
Well, Indiana is, and again, that's the state I know of. Each state has its own mix. That's another reason this we shouldn't be a top-down organization, is because one size fits all does not work for us. But in Indiana, not only is it ultra-Republican, but we still have what's called straight-ticket voting, which means you can walk in and just push one button.
Oh, dear God.
And over 80%.
And I'm sure most people
80% do. 80% do. When I was state chair, I would actually get emails from people saying, I want to vote Libertarian. What paperwork do I have to fill out to be able to vote Libertarian in November? And as a result, our turnouts have gotten so low. Okay, we had a mayoral race where it was a Libertarian versus a Republican, one of our smaller towns. The entire turnout was 18% of registered voters, because people have just given up. That's where I agree with Larry Sharp. Okay, the future is with the people who are giving up. They have to have hope. Okay, you can't just go by arguing against who's in power, because if you get them convinced the person in power is bad, they're going to go for the one they think has the best chance of beating them. And 9 times out of 10, that's not going to be us in people's minds. So at least until we start electing people. You know, our problem is we tend to nominate people who make us happy. We need to start electing people at the low level that will build resumes that will impress non-libertarians.
That's what we've been working on. So like this this current cycle, but it was a school board race, so the voting was weird. We had someone running who, Tyler Glow, the Nebraska people will get this. We were running him for school board because he's, young, articulate, attractive, principled, well-funded for a school board race, but ran into a buzzsaw of a bunch of people were going for the same spot that were like, I'm a 32-year Air Force.
If you are interested in learning about lobbying your legislators, come to room Dapper 2 in 7 minutes.
Anyway.
Dapper 2 in 7 minutes.
This is what we get for going live at a convention. So he like 32-year Air Force colonel,
right,
with a master's degree in blah blah blah. And it's like, oh, okay, these people have lived in this district longer than you've been alive, dude. There's no shot here.
Right.
But for his first race, he did pretty well. Got the experience.
What I'd say also in a race like that is you find out who backed him. Okay, I think libertarians traditionally have done a terrible job of, shall we say, making sticky contact with the voter. Fortunately, someone says, I got 700 votes. I go, great. How many of those do you know by name? How many can you put into a data bank so we can talk to them next time?
Yeah. So I think, and that's our new vice chair / the chair of the Douglas County Party was his campaign manager. So if anyone would have that information, it would be Matt, because he's meticulous about that kind of thing. So I assume Matt did something about sticking those voters.
We had a young man in Indianapolis run for sheriff. Didn't have a prayer, okay? But he went door to door and he collected over 300 names of people who said they would support him. Okay, in my opinion, those are people who should be on a libertarian database.
Yeah.
Okay, because are they all going to be libertarians? Of course not. Are they all going to vote libertarian? Of course not. but they are a better universe to try to recruit from, okay, than just the general population.
And in Nebraska, we get nation builder data on everyone who voted for Gary Johnson. So we have, and that number is much higher than the people who are registered libertarians, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I hate to say it, and I'm not proud of this, in Indiana, most of our main activists for the Gary Johnson campaign had nothing to do with the LP party. Some joined afterwards, but at the time of the campaign, they were not LP people.
So I think about half of our really good activists were more came to the party. Half of our party's really good activists came in through the campaign, more than they were already LP.
Yeah, this is the first election since 2000 where the presidential bump has been higher than the presidential bump 4 years before.
Really?
If you actually go to National, sent you, I'm sure, if you're a National member, sent you an annual report.
When was that? Because I let mine lapse because I'm poor.
Okay.
What's up?
Nick Sarwark is giving his keynote right now.
Okay, we better wrap this up.
Joe,
Okay,
I know
yeah.
you're dying to hear that.
He's 50-50 chance of being my boss next time.
That's right.
All right, everyone. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh wait, it's not plugged in. There we go. Live. Hi everybody, Nathan Parada here with the Roads to Liberty podcast. We're here at the Omaha Roads to Freedom UnConvention. I am joined with my little partner here. What's your name? Alexander Parada, that's right. And we got governor candidate for the state of Iowa, Jake Porter, here to join us. I figured we'd talk a little bit about your... Yeah, that's right. Figured we'd talk a little bit about your campaign. You guys are in the process of having a primary. The first time Iowa's had a primary for the Libertarian Party?
Correct, yes. We've never had access to the primaries before, so this is the first time in over 40 years that we've had access to this. It's very exciting. We've got that coming up on June 5th.
Okay, so go a little bit into how you got that. You needed to be a major party first before that became a reality. So how did you manage to get major party status in Iowa?
That was a long time of growth. So we ended up getting enough votes whenever Gary Johnson ran for president that gave us the major party status. So now they are forced to allow us into a primary, just like they do the Democrats and Republicans. So it gives us quite a bit of publicity that we normally wouldn't get.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. So the Gary Johnson campaign, it got you the number of votes you needed, the percentage of votes you needed to be major party status, and now you have your first primary ever. So now, who's your opponent again?
Marco Battaglia.
Marco Battaglia, yes, and you guys have had several debates together, and it's been a very friendly race so far. So how is the primary going right now? Has it been getting you guys a lot of extra attention that you haven't gotten in past races?
Well, to give you an example, my friend Dr. Lee Hebe, she ran last time, 2014, for governor, and she almost got major party status in her race too. But like the Des Moines Register endorsed me in the primary the other day, they didn't cover her until like 3 days before the actual election. So it's a lot of publicity that we normally wouldn't get. We were on Iowa Public Television a couple days ago, and rebroadcast this morning. For our libertarian debate that they put on television. We were on two of the largest stations in Iowa, news stations, for a full 30 minutes. Both of us were just last week. So I think we've got another one today, one of the larger stations also covering us that they've recorded it a while ago.
Awesome. So this has really gotten a lot of more attention for not only your campaigns, but the party as well in your state.
And not only debates between us two, on television, but we've done a handful, probably 5-6 debates with the Democrats and some of the Republicans that we're running and later on dropped out. We've debated with our whoever's going to be the Democratic nominee. We've debated with.
Awesome. So, what are the chances of the winner of this primary managing to get into actual governor's debates in the general election?
I think pretty good, because usually the Des Moines Register and KCCI, both of them have had us on now. They've invited us to the editorial board meetings, also having us on television. So it's going to be very difficult now for them to say the winner of this would not get in the debates. I think that's going to be very difficult.
Okay, now, knowing that victory in any governor's race is a long shot, what is the minimum? What does victory look like to you? Is it a certain percentage of votes? Is it a certain number of votes? Is it more attention for the party? Is it better infrastructure put in place for the next election? What does victory look like?
That's a great question, because so often people just focus on winning, and they say, well, you're not going to win, you're not going to. But there's many ways that we can win. One is to keep the major party status, and that makes it easier for us to run lots of candidates.
Right.
And building the party is another thing. We need to have more county organizations. That's where we get people elected at the local office. So that's important. And then obviously spreading the message is a key goal, and we want to keep, maintain the major party status is going to be the biggest component. Getting in the debates will be another big component, and keeping and spreading this message across Iowa. And at the same time, we're going to be building the party, recruiting candidates for the future, recruiting new leadership for the future as well.
Okay, well, Larry Sharps, he's been running around in here. He's running for governor in Iowa, and he's run just about the best libertarian campaign I've ever seen. Have you been able to learn anything from him? Have you been able to talk one-on-one with him and take some of the strategies that he used that you can possibly use in your campaign?
Yeah, I think I've known Larry now for a couple of years. I think our strategies are very similar. So we're doing the same stuff kind of that he's doing, or a little bit different dynamics. Iowa versus New York,
right.
What the media is. The issues, of course, are going to be a little bit different. But I think the strategy is pretty similar. What benefits us in Iowa is having the the primary system where they're forced to now cover us.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have that, but he's got strategies of going to small towns. We've been doing small town radio, small town TV as well.
And has that been effective?
Very effective. A lot of people want to talk to us, and now it's a lot of the bigger media that are pushing us, and so when the smaller media is also now contacting us based on what they've read or watched elsewhere.
You see, I met you not because of your governor's race, but because of your activism in Iowa. I remember a few years ago you came over to Nebraska when we were having a strategy. Yeah, it was kind of a strategy meeting in Iowa. So kind of tell me about some of the stuff you've done for the Libertarian Party in Iowa and some of the activism you've been involved with.
Oh, so I go back to about being a libertarian since 2004. I was 16 years old, and I think I joined the Libertarian Party of Iowa and moved to Des Moines in 2006. So I got involved with local campaigns, ended up getting involved too with a lot of the state party leadership, getting things done there, recruiting candidates, and worked on a couple presidential campaigns. George Phillies, he's around here somewhere. I worked on his presidential campaign in 2008 and helped a Barr campaign, Johnson out briefly, other candidates, and then I've also focused a lot of attention to some of the governor's races we've had in the past, state legislative candidates, and then run for office in 2010 and 2014 myself.
All right, well, tell me about the future of the Libertarian Party of Iowa. Where do you see it being in 2020 and going forward into the future?
That's a good question. So I can remember a time when people didn't know. They think, you mentioned libertarians, they think librarians, vegetarians. The librarians have a party now.
Yes, I very much remember those days.
A lot of that happened. I do see the future of we growing, keeping our major party status, running more and more candidates, electing people to the state legislature like you've done here in Nebraska. I see that as happening. I see us starting to take our message and getting some of these ideas in place. I think we're going to have voting rights restored to anyone that's served their time, paid for their crime, just because we've been talking about it. And if enough of us talk about that, they're going to have to adopt some of these issues. So I think we're going to win some races. We're going to have a strong county affiliates, and we're going to actually make some change at the local level and hopefully some at the state level too.
Awesome. No, neither of us are going to NOLA this year, unfortunately. Biggest thing being decided there is chair and vice chair of the party. Do you have a preference?
So I've known Nick Sarwark for a long time. I certainly have supported him in the past. I also met Joshua Smith here. He's been very supportive, so I think it's a good race. I can say great things about both of those individuals, and I think that the party's going to be in good shape no matter what one we choose. Awesome. Now, as far as vice chair, I unfortunately don't know enough about the candidates. I know Alex is here. I don't even know for certain who's running, so I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to the national party.
They had a debate yesterday. I know you can get on the roads to the UnConvention Facebook page and rewatch that because they live streamed it there. I know Alex Smith is here, and I know Arvin Vohra. He was here. I don't know if he's still walking around somewhere.
I talked to him earlier.
Well, I know those two for sure, and the other two I'm not very familiar with. But anyway, I think that'll about wrap it up. Do you have a website? How can people donate to your campaign or volunteer for it?
They certainly can. They can go to jakeporter.org. Now, if anyone's watching from Nebraska, I actually live just over in Council Bluffs, so not far. So I would I'd take any support that I could from there as well. But jakeporter.org.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on this live stream.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for everything you've done.
All right. And remember, everybody, the website is roads2liberty.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Minds, and YouTube to get all our content. Keep tuned. We'll have many more live streams coming at you. Thank you very much.
No doubt.
Happy Bubba.
Well, that's a very good
Hi,
question.
everybody.
Hi,
I'm Nathan
Bubba.
Parada, host of the Guardians of Liberty
Hi,
podcast,
Bubba.
with my co-host. What's your name?
Alexander
Parada, and I'm here with a presidential candidate who probably has the best platform I've ever heard in my life, Mr. Vermin Supreme. How you doing?
Well, thank you. It's very good to be here today at the UnConvention here in Omaha, Nebraska. And we are experiencing some serious liberty here, as you may have heard, or if you've been following the events going on here. We've had some amazing libertarian activity here. Yes, and I'd like to point out that I have, can I tell you that I coined another word the other day?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I've coined a new word. It's an exciting new word, and I think it will be very useful to the liberty movement. It is a combination, if you will, of two words. The two words are victory and liberty. And together, they become Viberty.
Viberty, I like
Viberty.
it.
Viberty, people.
Viberty.
Viberty.
That's going to be the new campaign slogan
That
of the
is
future.
that's going to be a hashtag for sure. So we're all experiencing a whole lot of Viberty here, indeed.
Yes, and this has been the ground zero for Viberty for the entirety of the weekend.
Absolutely.
Me and this guy went out. We got to go out with the group karaokeing last night, and he killed it.
I would like to take this opportunity to announce the formation of the Liberty Karaoke Army. It's going to be an exciting new outreach campaign, and essentially we will be going from town to town, and of course we will be making available the resources so that you and your friends can go out to your local karaoke bar and spread the word of liberty. And essentially it's very simple. It's a minor subversion of the karaoke format. It involves attending the local karaoke bar, choosing a song that you believe or can somehow illustrates the theme that you wish to educate the people about. What I'm looking for is 3 or 4 minute educational presentations that are a combination of the song. So let's say, for example, we were listening to Starchild and I were listening to John Coogan Mellencamp's Small Town.
Yeah.
And we were thinking up some, entertaining and parody lyrics. I had my money in a small bank, and then it got sold to a big bank, and then they came in, and then they foreclosed, and just on and on. And last night, for example, Josh Smith was singing Folsom Prison Blues, and I pointed out how simple it would be to turn it into an educational opportunity. Where you sing a little bit. I was hear that train coming, it's coming around the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. But seriously, can I talk to you about prison abolition? Can I talk to you about the hell that we have created in this society to warehouse prisoners, and on and on? So essentially, it would involve, and does involve, singing a few parody lyrics or the actual lyrics, and then talking. And hitting the talking points that you want to reach and explain during this thing. So it becomes a 3-minute educational, entertaining experience for a completely unsuspecting audience, the people in the karaoke bar. And the beautiful thing about karaoke is that the people really like to be there. They like to hear the people sing badly. They want to be entertained. They want to drink. And so when you go up and take over the stage and do something a little different, they're very receptive to it. So you could take 3 or 4 of your friends out, one after the other, or scattered throughout the evening. Go up and just make these presentations, these educational presentations, and then hand out the cards and say, if you think there's too much government or whatever, come and talk to us. And so that's the exciting new project that's come out of this UnConvention, the Liberty Karaoke Army. and we hope to put together resources once we have some of these songs sort of codified, and that you could theoretically, print out and bring to your local karaoke bar, and you are good to go.
Why not? It sounds like a fun time. All you guys that like karaoke, this is your man, the Liberty Karaoke Army.
Yes, I'm the general. I think that makes me the general of the karaoke army.
I think so. I think everyone that went out, that was with you that first night, we all get to be lieutenants.
And another wonderful thing about this UnConvention here is that I took a pie to the face last night.
You did?
Yes.
In front of Ron Paul?
In front of Ron Paul for the Institute. I raised a couple $100. People were bidding, and so I introduced the idea of pieing libertarians in the face as a fundraising method for the libertarians. And so that's very exciting. It goes along with my theme of trying to introduce pie into the political discourse.
Yes, that's a very great idea. I think
we did it earlier. I guess earlier in the year, or was it last year? But we had the people were pledging money to pie Augustus Invictus.
I bet that raised a lot of money.
We were up to $350, but he got a little upset and tweeted a very indiscreet tweet about whoever pied him was going to jail after they got out of the hospital.
You mean to tell me that Augustus Invictus isn't a good sport? That surprises me.
It was. I was a little surprised.
That's a bit disappointing. I always figured a guy named Augustus Invictus would just be a good sport about that sort of thing. But you know what? With as much as libertarians infight with each other, I think raising money to pie each other in the face is a great idea.
Because many members of the libertarian community are extremely disliked by other members of the libertarian community, and so that is why I thought it was a perfect opportunity for friends and frenemies, if you will, of the liberty movement. To raise a little money by throwing a pie in their opponent's face. What could be better? So there's that.
With all these chair and vice chair candidates have been talking about ways to raise money for the party.
I think this is one.
I mean,
this is a good way.
Whoever raises the most money for pieing somebody in the face, they just get to be the chair.
That's an interesting thing.
And then Vermin gets to be the vice chair because as the general.
Because it was my idea.
Yeah, as the general of the Liberty Karaoke Army, you'll have a force that's capable of just taking over. So why not just do that?
Indeed, I think it would be a good move on the Libertarian Party's part in order to do just that. Also, of course, I am currently not running. Let's say I have an exploratory committee about running for the 2020 Liberty Party nomination, of course. So that's very exciting. Because I do believe that there are arguments to be made that I am probably the very best candidate that the Liberty Party could possibly nominate as a presidential candidate. I believe that I could bring you that 5%, and that's my story. I'm sticking to it, whether you believe it or not.
You know what? I think that at least 5% of America is ready for free ponies, mandatory toothbrushing, and a zombie survival plan.
Well, let's just say, for hypothetically speaking, if five out of every 100 voters were recent high school graduates, I think that's my demographic. That's my voters. I think if we mobilize the youth vote, we can make that happen. Of course, presently I'm running for the state attorney general of the great state of Kansas. That I am fundraising. I have until June 1st to raise $1,600. And let me say, I am about $300 away from my goal. And a lot of that money was raised right here at the UnConvention by supporters and people buying glitter neckties. And so there's obviously a groundswell of support to see my name on the ballot in Kansas. And if all goes well, I will be the unopposed Democratic primary candidate, which would mean I could move on to the general election and take on Attorney General Derek Schmidt, the Republican. And an interesting thing is, because how this came to my attention was the kids. There was like six high school students who were running for governor in Kansas because the state of Kansas had absolutely no requirements that would keep you off the ballot. So I looked at it and I said, "Oh, I could do that."
So you don't even have to live in the state to run for office there.
Absolutely not. In fact, but the current Attorney General has filed some sort of magic paperwork to try and prevent out-of-staters from being on the governor's ballot. He forgot to include the Attorney General ballot in that magic paperwork, and so currently I'm still good and still have a really good chance of making that ballot. So yeah, things are very exciting in Vermin's imaginary world, and of course the fact that I have a nucleus of supporters here at in the libertarian community that are actually shoving my ass to bring my campaigns from the magic, imaginary, pretend world of the internet into the real world. I'd say it's a real good sign, and it's a good sign. Of course, part of my presidential campaign for 2020 will include raising $5,000 in each of 20 states. If I am capable of doing that, I will be able to achieve federal election matching funds. That means they will double that money. That means I will be able to buy a blimp bigger than Ron Paul's.
Whoa, he had a pretty big blimp.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's going to be bigger and better, let me tell you. And
will it be pony-shaped?
Totally pony-shaped.
I was thinking about a giant toothbrush.
With ponies. Okay, it'll be a giant pony with toothbrush.
But why not two blimps? One's a toothbrush and one's a pony.
All right, as long as a pony can ride it. That's the important thing. And, of course, for every state that I successfully raise the $5,000 in, now, of course, fundraisers will get a cut because that's only fair, and the money can only go to legitimate campaign expenses. And so that will bankroll my tour of that state, and it will pay for a real live pony, which will be given away to one lucky winner, one lucky contributor. All contributors will be entered into a hat or a boot, as the case may be, and a winner will be drawn, and that pony comes off the top. So we'll be giving away hopefully up to 50 ponies in 50 states, and that's just the beginning of the fun.
Hashtag 50 ponies in 50 states.
50 pony. I have a 50 pony, 50 state strategy in the upcoming elections, and that is why I am the best nominee that the Libertarian Party could hope to field. Thank you for your support. And if you are watching and you are a potential delegate, you are probably going to either want to see me up on the debate stage next year, or maybe not. But if you would like to see me up on that debate stage with Mr. Kokesh and Bill Weld and whoever else jumps into the fray, I'm going to need your delegate token, okay? So you need 25 delegate tokens. That's the buy-in. So I can count on your delegate token.
Absolutely. All right, everybody.
Okay, so there's that.
Well, why don't you show everybody some of the ties that you're selling?
Oh, I don't have any other ones I'm selling. They're way over there at my booth.
All right. Well, he's got a whole bunch of ties over in that direction.
Totally.
If you come to the only way to get there, you got to come to the Omaha Roads to Freedom UnConvention.
Or on the internet.
Or on the internet. But you want to get them at the UnConvention because then you get to shake Mr. Vermin Supreme's hand and hang out with him for a bit.
That's true. Now you can, if you want to virtually shake my hand,
do so now. All right. Opportunity passed. If you didn't take that opportunity, that's on you, my friend. All right, Vermin, thanks for stopping by to talk to us,
Thanks for having me. Things are going on in Vermin World. We've got a brand new documentary that we're entering into the festivals that covers the 2016 campaign. You can see the previous documentary, Who is Vermin Supreme, is on Amazon Prime and Xbox and a whole bunch of places like that. Check out the Monty Oblivion new video he just dropped called Western World. Some proceeds going towards the ballot race. There's just a lot of crazy things happening. I want to shout out to everybody, all my supporters, all my fans, all the people who are working on my campaign, all the people who are donating money. I know it's money better well spent, but what can I say? Here we are. So thank you, America, and Liberty. Liberty for all.
Liberty, everybody.
Liberty.
Remember, join the Liberty Karaoke Army. Vermin Supreme, the man who wears a boot on his head and promises free ponies to every American.
That's me.
Vote for this man. All right, thank everybody for watching. We'll have another live stream later on.